Well, this Thursday is the 4th of July, so happy Independence Day to each and every single one of you. You know, the 4th of July, Independence Day, is one of the very few truly American holidays that we have. And you know that all began as a celebration of our freedom from being under British rule. I think today it's really just an excuse to eat hot dogs and chips and dip and drink beer and light off firecrackers, really is what it's about for most of us today. But really underlying that celebration of the 4th of July is really a celebration of freedom. It's a celebration of just the concept, the idea, and the fact that we have freedom. And part of that freedom that we hold so dear, that we love so much, is the freedom to choose. And particularly the freedom to choose the life of our choosing. And so we hold dear and love the fact that we get to choose where it is that we live. And the fact that we get to choose what it is that we do for work. We love the fact that we get to choose whatever style of religion that we want to practice. We get to choose if we're going to have kids or not, and how many kids, if we're going to get married or not, and to whom we get married. We even celebrate that fact, really, that we get to choose what we're going to wear. We love that we have all these choices. And so that list goes on, really, about those things that we celebrate having freedom around, that freedom of choice. That freedom is so important to us that we actually even fight for other people to have freedom. And because we hold that so dear and that freedom is so important to us, I have to conclude that the reason why that's so important to us is because it is part of our spiritual makeup. It is essential. Freedom is essential to our beingness. It is part of who we are. That freedom and that boundlessness of spirit are who we are at our very core. And not just is that freedom and that boundless possibility a part of who we are, but it is the very nature of the life that we are living. That's why it's so important to us. And so Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of this philosophy, says in the Science of Mind textbook, "We are surrounded by a spirit of living intelligence, an eternal givingness, love, goodness, and power that wishes to express itself through us. There is a divine urge within, ever pushing us forward to the goal. That divine presence within us is that boundless potential. It is that infinite good that we seek to experience and to express in our lives through our freedom and our freedom of choice." And so because that is part of our spiritual makeup, that boundless possibility, that freedom, that means then that creative impulse of the divine nature, that creative impulse of the universe is always knocking within us and always seeking to express by means of us and through us. That's why we have those urges inside of us to create something, to do something new, to live the life of our heartfelt desires. It's the universe of possibility, that creative potential knocking within us for us to grow and to expand and to express and to experience all the things that we name and deem good in this life. And so as human beings then, we want to live with freedom. We want to live with freedom from control and freedom from restrictions and freedom from hampering conditions. In fact, we want to live with autonomy instead and with freedom of choice and to create the life of our own choosing. The problem is sometimes we think we're limited. Sometimes one of the things is we think we are limited by our past or by our past choices. And that might look like the fact that you never finished your degree when you were young, and now you tell yourself it's just too late, you can't do it, because you think you're limited because of the choice you made in the past. Or perhaps you're in a career that you don't like anymore, but you tell yourself, I've already spent 20 years in this career. I can't change now because of this past choice that you've made. You think that you're limited today. Or maybe you're limited more by what society prescribes and tells you that you can or you cannot do. We know that historically, society has said that women cannot be firefighters and that they cannot be police officers, they cannot be CEOs, and God forbid they cannot be president of the United States. And it has prescribed that men cannot do things like be nurses or child care providers or care providers. You know, I just heard a story the other day about a man who was a roofer and that he fell off of a roof and broke both of his arms and broke his legs. And while he was healing, realized that he really wanted to be a contribution in this world and to make a positive difference. And out of that, he became a midwife. You know, and so we see that none of those things that are prescribed by society are really true anymore. That all of those lines are dissolving today. And the third thing that sometimes happens is that we think that we are limited by our gender or by our age or by our ethnicity or where we were born or where we were raised, and we still hold on to that today. And so there's a story that I'd like to share with you, and the story is titled, Immigrant Twins Who Picked Grapes in California Graduate from Medical School One Day Apart. There is no one path to graduation, and no pair knows better than Octavio and Omar Viramontes, twin brothers who graduated from Harvard and UCLA medical schools, respectively, just one day apart. Octavio and Omar's family moved from Mexico to Central California when they were 10 to chase the American dream, which for newly arrived immigrants meant picking grapes in the fields and selling produce door to door. Quote, the first year it was tough. We hated it, Omar said. But we started to realize that we were doing this for a specific reason. And it was to help our family, and it was to help each other. Their parents helped them too. Their mother introduced them to the town library and taught them that education was the most valuable currency. Every single time I entered the library, I was entering a different world by reading a different book, Octavio said. It gave me the imagination to be somewhere else. The twins aced their classes and graduated high school, sharing the coveted title of valedictorian. Octavio went to Harvard for his undergraduate degree, and Omar attended the University of California, San Diego, both on full scholarships. Then they decided both to become doctors. When I saw that UCLA had offered me admission, a full-ride scholarship, I was very ecstatic, Omar said. Why would they pick someone from a small town of 5,000 people to go to Harvard Medical School, Octavio said. I remember refreshing the page, I guess making sure that it was addressed to the right person and to me. Omar added that he takes his parents' sacrifices seriously and that he uses them as fuel. Every day I wake up and think, what can I do today to make myself better, my family better, and my community better? We aren't limited by our past or by our past choices or by our gender or our age or what society prescribes to us or our ethnicity. We aren't bound in any way by anything except our own thinking and our own beliefs. And so is there something that you've been telling yourself that you can't have or be or do because? There's a little piece of paper in your bulletin that says on it, I can't be, do, have, because, and I invite you to fill that out right now. And if you need a pen, David is in the back and he will bring you a pen. And if you've dropped your little insert that says that, he has a couple of extra ones. What have you been saying to yourself? I can't be, do, or have this because. I can't blank because blank. Is everybody done? Now what I want you to do is I want you to crumple that up, wad it into a ball, and throw it into the middle of the room. Get rid of it. There you go. And so in honor of the 4th of July, my talk is about freedom, and the title of my talk is Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness, because that's what we're born for. And so actually what I'm talking about is that each and every single one of us is supported by life itself to thrive. We are each and every single one of us supported to live our most fulfilling life. We are supported to be deeply satisfied and deeply fulfilled, and to be living our heart's desires and the life of our choosing. That's what we came here for to planet Earth. To unfold ourselves through creating that wonderful life. Through creating our best life. A joy-filled life. A life that is filled with abundance of all the things that we name good. That's what we are supported by life itself to do and to be here. Ken Gordon, who is the leader of Centers for Spiritual Living, said this week. We are all here for a purpose. We are here to create something wonderful, something magical, something beautiful out of our lives and the life that we are living. Opportunities reside within each of us. We are able to do that when we remember that our life is the life of God, and we open ourselves to possibility. When we remember that our life is the life of God. The life that we are living is none other than that life of God unfolding itself through each one of us. And that life of God is boundless. There are no confines or restrictions or obstructions or delays in that one. There is only the absoluteness of its own being, which is absolute, boundless possibility. That's what's unfolding through you. And so we open ourselves to possibility when we recognize that we live in that field, that energy, that essence, that presence of possibility itself. when we realize that the nature of life and the nature of God and the nature of our own lives is boundlessness itself. We don't just live in a realm of possibilities where I can choose if I want to go to Hawaii or the Bahamas or Montana to go on vacation. We live in this realm of possibility where there are no confines, where there are nothing outside of it. It's possibility that contains everything within itself. It has no limitations. That is the realm of the infinite. It's the realm of that divine presence. It's the realm that is unformed substance. Infinite mind, that's what it is. And so that presence, that power is the source of all creativity. It is where every single creative idea has come out of, and everything that has yet to be invented or discovered or brought into being comes out of that boundless potential and that infinite mind of God. That realm of creativity and that realm of possibility is the thing that, say, the discovery of how to use electricity to light our homes and to fuel things has come from. It is the realm that the telephone has come out of, and the computer and rocket ships have come out of. It is also that realm of creativity that will enable us to create peace in this world. And it is the thing that will come out of the ideas and the solutions and the creative ideas so that we can feed every single person on this planet. It is also that realm of creativity that leads you and guides you into your most perfect life, into the life of your own heartfelt desires. It leads you into your best life, and it opens the way for those things to come about. Believing that and knowing that is the first step to get there. It's the first step to getting there. Believing that and living in that awareness and thinking about that and focusing on that and telling yourself that, knowing that is the first step. Ernest Holmes says, capital R reality is the truth about anything, and bondage is the result of ignorance of capital R reality. Bondage is the exact opposite of that reality. If we consider that we are living in a spiritual universe governed by mental laws, the way to free ourselves from bondage must be to recognize reality. The reality of the omnipresence of God, that it is the only power and the only presence and the only life and the only one that there is, and it is living within us and through us and as us, and there's nothing else to be. When we recognize that, we free ourselves from bondage. The only reason we are bound anywhere in our lives is because of our beliefs and because of our focus. Ernest Holmes says, bondage exists only in the human mind. We can be free as soon as we recognize that there is no power to bind us except ourselves. It's our thinking and our feeling and our beliefs that keep us bound. It's not God. And so what happens, though, is we believe that we are limited, or we believe that life is limited, or we believe we can't have, or we're not good enough, or we don't deserve, or it's not for us, or we already made this choice, or society limits us, or we're not the right age, or whatever all those beliefs are. We are the ones that limit ourselves. And so the call then to every single one of us is to take time daily to let go of that thinking and instead to tell ourselves the truth. To step out of ideas of lack and of limitation and to tell ourselves the truth that God is the only power in our lives and that God is capable of everything. And not just is God capable of everything, but it is God's desire to express in fullness through us. That's the desire of the universe to unfold itself fully through us. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes says, if one would take time daily, once a day at least, to let go of all that is not true and lay hold of capital R reality, let go of doubt and distrust and worry and condemnation and fear, and lay hold of life in its expression of beauty, truth, and wholeness, he would be healed. Knowing the truth is the thing that heals us, the truth with a capital T. That means then doing affirmative prayer every day, doing spiritual mind treatment. It means meditating so that we can disidentify with the things that are going on in our lives and instead identify with our own spiritual essence. Instead, have the experience, the felt experience of boundlessness, the experience of infinity, the experience of that which is boundless. That's what we come to feel and to experience in meditation. We disconnect from our limited thinking and our ego thinking and that perspective on life and get to see something bigger. So we do affirmative prayer and we use affirmations and we do meditation and we tell ourselves the truth. And so my invitation to you this week is to know that you are free. To know that you are supported by life and by God to thrive and to succeed and to live your greatest life and to unfold, to live your heartfelt desires. You're supported by life to be deeply satisfied. You're supported by life, by God, to be fulfilled. And so know that life is on your side. Know that life's greatest desire is for you to live your greatest life. You just have to get out of your own way. So meditate on those truths. Affirm that and do spiritual practice daily so that you can remember. Go back and listen to this talk again and again if that supports you. Read the things that inspire you, but do whatever it is you need to do to help you stay centered in that truth. And as a result, you'll be living with such greater freedom and literally creating the life that you are longing to live and to be and to do. And so blessings to each and every single one of you on this path of walking and living as your own spirit and giving way to the boundlessness of God. Blessings to all of you. And so I invite you right now to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so that is exactly what I do right now as I turn my attention from this world of appearances, from this world of form, to realize that this is already old causation and that where new causation relies is in consciousness, in my thinking, in my feeling, in my focus, in my beliefs. And so I turn my attention to the truth that that infinite presence of God is absolutely infinite. That it is infinite in its ability, it is infinite in its potential, it is infinite in its good, and it is ever unfolding itself everywhere in this universe. That this is the only power and the only presence and the only life that there is. This infinity of God from all things have sprung forth out of this one whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere, is right where I am at every single moment in time. It is at the tip of my finger. It is at the center of my heart. It is everywhere that I go. It fills my home and fills my place of work and fills this material world with its beingness, with its boundless potential, with the good that it is. And so I recognize that each and every single one of us are outpicturings of this presence. We are here as expressions of the divine, expressions of the good. And so I know that that presence is the thing that animates us and that animates our lives and that flows into us and through us as an abundance of good. It flows into us as heartfelt desires, the thing that tugs at us of what it is that we want to do or who it is that we want to be, what it is that we want to have. It is that presence knocking inside, seeking to express itself in a fuller and a bigger and a grander and a more profound and beautiful way. And so today we say yes to that call of our own spirits. We say yes to the divine calling within us to unfold ourselves in a greater way. And so I recognize and know that there are no obstructions or delays or hindrances in this one. There is only the fullness of God, the fullness of divine being. This is what we live in, and this is what lives in us. For the innermost God and the outermost God are one God. And so I claim and recognize and know that, yes, as we are living this life of God, all that the good that God is unfolding itself in our lives right now. An abundance of all that we yearn for. And I know that freedom is ours today. Freedom to choose, freedom to be, freedom to express. And we are supported by the entire universe to do this. And so it is with a heart filled with gratitude that I release this prayer into that creative law of the universe, knowing that it responds in like. That law says yes and is right now unfolding itself as the fulfillment of that desire, of that good. And so I release this prayer in gratitude, and I say, and so it is.